You'd think parking an RV in your own driveway would be simple, right? Not when Karen lives across the street. From 911 calls at 4 a.m. to fake HOA meetings, you won't believe how far she went and how badly it all backfired. At first, everything seemed normal in our cozy suburban neighborhood. Well, as normal as it could get under the watchful hawk-like gaze of Karen, our self-appointed queen of the cul-de-sac. It started subtly enough, like when she dropped off an anonymous, friendly reminder note taped to my mailbox warning me that my unsightly RV, newly parked in my driveway after a long summer road trip, was disturbing the neighborhood's aesthetic cohesion. I chuckled at first, thinking it was a joke. Our HOA rules clearly allowed recreational vehicles to be parked in personal driveways for up to 72 hours for loading or unloading, and I was well within the time limit. Yet Karen's indignation seemed to simmer just beneath the surface. So when I found a second, even more passive-aggressive note tucked under my windshield wiper 2 days later that read neighbors are starting to notice, it was clear Karen had appointed herself the judge, jury, and executioner of neighborhood standards. Despite having no actual authority beyond the title of Neighborhood Watch Coordinator, she printed herself on an inkjet printer. Karen began riling up the HOA board with embellished tales about my RV blocking the view, lowering property values, and possibly attracting vagrants. I stayed calm, smiling politely at Karen's tight-lipped stares and even waving once as I returned from stocking the RV with travel supplies, pretending not to notice her measuring the vehicle with a tape measure from across the street while pretending to water her already saturated lawn. That night, as I sat on my porch sipping a beer, Karen's porch light blinked on and off several times in what I could only assume was a deranged form of Morse code. I shrugged it off, figuring that, after the 72-hour window, I would move the RV as planned. But Karen had already shifted from irritation to action. 2 days later, I found a gaudy neon orange sticker slapped across the windshield that read, "Violation, move immediately or face penalties," signed in shaky handwriting by none other than Karen herself. Realizing the escalation was intentional, I peeled the sticker off and tossed it in my trash can. That evening, my neighbor Tom stopped by, chuckling as he relayed that Karen had been canvassing the street, warning everyone about my RV and even attempting to collect signatures for a petition that seemed to consist mainly of her own signature repeated in varying fonts. Around midnight, I caught a glimpse of her pacing her front porch in a bathrobe, gesticulating wildly into her phone, likely leaving panicked voicemails for the HOA president. Despite her efforts, official HOA communications remained silent. Karen viewed my continued presence as a declaration of war. When note leaving, sticker slapping, and petition forging failed, Karen decided to escalate matters by summoning law enforcement. At precisely 4:03 a.m., flashing red and blue lights lit up my front yard. 2 bewildered police officers stood by the RV, and Karen herself, disheveled in a bathrobe, shrieked that my RV was a nuisance, a public hazard, and quite possibly harboring squatters. The officers exchanged a look that could only be described as, "Oh God, not another one." Karen pointed dramatically at the RV as if she'd uncovered a terrorist cell. One officer held up a hand to silence her and asked for my side of the story. I explained the HOA rule, the timeline, and the fact that I was preparing to move the RV later that morning. Karen sputtered about eyewitnesses, but her only witness turned out to be her own reflection in her living room window. The officers informed her that there was no legal violation and that misusing 911 for non-emergencies was a chargeable offense. Karen's face flushed crimson and the officers politely advised her to return to her home. As the squad car pulled away, leaving Karen seething in her driveway, I waved, savoring the irony of being declared the villain by someone whose hysteria had just been officially dismissed. The morning after the police spectacle, Karen's vendetta entered a new phase. I noticed a new addition to my front yard, a crudely handmade sign reading, "Warning, illegal vehicle storage. HOA alert," with an arrow pointing at my RV. I laughed and removed the sign, placing it by her mailbox with a note, "Found this. Looks important." Later that afternoon, Karen retaliated by posting a tirade on the neighborhood Facebook page accusing me of harboring hazardous materials and suggesting my RV might be used for illegal street racing activities. The comments exploded with mockery. Karen doubled down, pestering neighbors to sign a new petition while regaling them with horror stories about loiterers. My next-door neighbor Hank, an ex-cop with no tolerance for nonsense, told her, "Lady, if you're this scared of an RV, you might need to move to a bunker." Karen responded by placing orange cones around my driveway and a faux city order sign with a clip art drawing of an eagle holding a lawnmower. I returned the cones to her porch with a box of donuts and a sticky note, "You seem busy. Fuel up." She then formed an HOA Inquisition squad with 2 other busybodies, Phyllis and Barbara. They hosted an emergency meeting complete with a PowerPoint titled "Protecting Our Property, the RV Crisis." The meeting ended when someone pointed out that Karen's own shed violated HOA limits. From then on, Karen adopted a new tactic: relentless documentation. Every time I approached the RV, Karen would emerge with her smartphone, narrating loudly. Children created a game called Karen Watch, earning points for spotting her spying from various hiding spots. Meanwhile, Karen bombarded the HOA board with emails and began crafting a formal complaint packet against me. But I was ready. I compiled my own evidence showing Karen's violations, including her oversized shed, offensive lawn decorations, and intrusive security cameras. The HOA announced a neighborhood inspection. Karen proudly posted, "Change is coming." On inspection day, Karen followed the inspectors like a paparazzi, unaware that they were about to cite her. Her violations were numerous. She shrieked, "You're supposed to be citing him." But the inspectors explained that her issues were long-standing. Karen was handed a citation packet thick enough to kill a houseplant. The neighborhood Facebook page exploded again with memes and laughter. Karen responded with fury, launching a passive-aggressive harassment campaign, loud early morning gardening, misplaced trash cans, and the infamous glitter incident. Then came the bird seed incident, which attracted raccoons to her own yard. Karen filed complaints about my RV causing psychological distress and vibrations. When animal control arrived, they found nothing except my tragically underwhelming collection of board games. Even they laughed, and neighbors began mocking Karen openly. Karen's final act was taking me to small claims court. She sued for $5,000, claiming my RV caused emotional distress and property value loss. I countersued for harassment. The judge dismissed her claim and awarded me $2,500. Karen stood frozen as the gavel fell. The neighborhood erupted with laughter. Karen went silent. Her house fell into disrepair. No one wanted to buy it. The once proud corner lot became a haunted house joke. Eventually, she sold it at a loss. The new family moved in with an Airstream RV. We threw a block party. When they backed it in, the neighborhood applauded. Karen's legacy lived on not as a warning, but a rallying cry: kindness over control, community over fear, and laughter over litigation. Her reign was over, her house restored, and her name became a legenda myth of suburban tyranny that forged a neighborhood stronger than ever.